Chris.
All right, Skylar. Hey, well, I really appreciate you meeting with me today. Kind of what I want to go over is our what we can do to help protect you and protect your family. And insurance can be confusing. My goal is to kind of make this process easy on you. I always kind of convey to my clients, hey, I'm your HR person for anything health insurance related. This can be confusing. You may have questions, may have concerns. And, if you go and do this on your own and you have questions or concerns, you're calling 1-800 numbers, you're talking to all these different people. If you work with me, you pay the same cost. My service is no cost. I'm here to help and kind of help educate you on what the differences are. So as we're going through this, here's our legal disclaimer. What Health Markets does is we're a national brand. We've got more than 3,000 agents nationwide. I've been an agent personally for 10 years. I've been a sales leader for the last year. And I represent the majority of the major health insurance, the Medicare companies here in the state. I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. I've got a young family. So I just turned 41 recently. I can't retire for another 24, 25 years. So, if you'll allow me to help you, I'd love to be your agent for the next 24, 25 years. Then after that, I'm going to retire and you're going to be on your own. And so again, kind of what our advantage is with Health Markets is we're a nationwide company. Again, we got more than 3,000 agents. And we can really kind of help make this process easy on you and kind of help go over all the different options with you. Healthcare can be so confusing. You didn't go to school for health insurance. They don't teach health insurance at school. So a lot of people are really confused because they've typically gotten insurance from their employer. Okay. Well, now, Skylar, that you're self-employed, you don't have health insurance offered to you through your employer. So you're having to go on and look for it for yourself. And there's just so much confusion. There's these health insurance marketplace plans. There's plans that you get a subsidy with, and plans that you don't get a subsidy with, and all these different bells and whistles and options. And my goal is to kind of simplify that for you, show you what my recommendation would be to help protect you, and kind of go over all that to make sure that you and your family are protected. And the reason why you want to work with a broker is because we represent all the major carriers. In Southwest Michigan, there's 6 health insurance carriers on the marketplace. I represent all 6 of those carriers. So I'm going to say, here's all the options. Here's pros and cons. I'm going to ask you some questions to make sure that, we're double checking your doctors, your medications. We're going to make sure that we have all of that, those details ready to go. That way, when I make a recommendation, we'll make sure that we have the coverage that you need in place. And so not only do we do health insurance, but we do anything kind of connected with health insurance. We do life insurance. We do supplemental insurance, which would be dental, which would be vision, which would be, for instance, like a disability plan. Here in a few years when you turn 65, I can help you do that transition to Medicare. Anything health insurance related, I want to be your go-to person, or if you have questions or concerns, you're coming to me. And this is something that we'll look at annually, and then also, touch base with you during the middle of the year in case, you have any questions or concerns. And each year we'll kind of look at this and kind of re-go over, hey, do you have any new medications? Do you have any new doctors that you see? Do you have any surgeries or procedures coming up? I want to know as much information that I can to put you in the right position this year, next year, and then in the future as well. So, the protection when you're younger is obviously different, like once you hit, retirement age. And so we'll kind of go over those different options with you to make sure that we're putting you and your family in the right position. So health insurance and what I go over with my clients, there's 3 main components here. Okay, we got your health insurance plan. That's going to pay the hospitals, the doctors. It's going to get you your medications. That's going to basically take care of all of that. But then we're also going to need to talk about supplemental insurance, because now that you're not working for that company anymore, Skylar, you don't have long-term disability, you don't have short-term disability. Supplemental insurance can basically pay you or pay your medical expenses if something major comes up. So it's a really important component of your coverage, because if you're self-employed, let's just say you have a major accident, major illness, and you're missing work, you're not getting paid, so you have a loss of income, then you have all these medical expenses coming in. So my goal is to put you in the position where if that does happen, you have the coverage in place to help beat that illness, to help pay for those medical expenses, and without being put in a tough financial position. The number one reason why people in the United States file bankruptcy is because of medical bills. I don't want you to be in that category. Then the third component that we're going to talk about is life insurance. The majority of Americans are underinsured for life insurance, especially that you have a young family. God forbid the worst happens, you don't want to leave them in a tough position. So I'm also going to show you some life insurance quotes as well. Insurance can be confusing with the Affordable Care Act. How the Affordable Care Act works is they cover pre-existing conditions. They cover preventative care. They cover mental health care. So they cover paternity care. So every plan has to meet those exact same structures, okay? So whether you get a bronze plan, a silver, a gold, they all have to meet those same requirements. What my goal is to do today is to educate you on the differences between bronze, silver, and gold plans and kind of show you, hey, which will be the best for your situation. But again, no matter which one you pick, they're going to have to all cover all of the protections that they have in place under the ACA, which again, preventative care, pre-existing conditions, all of those things will be covered. So when we're looking at the different plan structures, we're looking at bronze, silver, gold. In some areas, we have platinum plans, but in Michigan, we actually don't have any platinum plans available this year, Skylar. So with bronze plans, typically higher deductible. And then with the silver plans, typically a little bit lower deductible, but if you're on expensive medications, sometimes that's a little bit better fit for you because on a silver plan, you typically don't have to hit your deductible before you get name brand medications. So Skylar, for instance, if you were on Eliquis, if you were on the bronze plan, Eliquis would cost you about $600 per month. But if you're on the silver plan, you'd only pay a $40 copay. So that's why it's important for me that I know what medications that you're on. On any of these plans, you have almost the exact same worst case scenario. So a lot of people worry about deductible. Deductible is not the most important number here. The most important number is your maximum out of pocket. If you know what hits the fan, how much could you spend in a calendar year? And that's going to be identical pretty much on any of the plans. The standard in 2024 is $9,450. So no plan can charge you more than $9,450. So we always have to kind of keep that number in the back of our head when we're looking at different plans, where you just have to know, hey, does it financially make sense to spend more money to get a little bit lower deductible? The majority of the time, it does not. We can also get you coverage now because you've lost coverage in the middle of the year. So that opens up a special enrollment period for us. We're basically, being that you just left your employer, we're able to get you coverage starting at the 1st of November in this scenario. But then open enrollment actually begins November 1. That's when we can look at plans for 2025. Always keep me posted if there's any changes, like if you get married, divorced, have a kid, get a new job, because your insurance will most likely change when you have those life changes as well. So what I want to do now is I want to start asking you health questions. I want to make sure I know all your doctors, know all your medications. I want to know, if you have family history of cancer, who your doctors are, who your dentist is. I want to gather all that information so I can put you into the right position. And then once I have that information, I'll be able to go back in and make a recommendation. And there's a few different things that, especially on the supplemental side, I want to hit on again. For instance, the average cost of walking into the emergency room, it just went up to about $1,700. So just by walking into the emergency room, the average person would pay $1,700. The average hospital stay is 5.5 days. The average cost of a 3-day hospitalization is about 30 grand. The average cost of cancer in the United States is about 35 grand. And again, being that most of us are living paycheck to paycheck, I don't want you to run into that situation where, hey, you got this major medical issue, now you can't work, now you owe $9,450 towards, your deductible. That can put you into a tough spot. So my goal is to put those coverages in place. So if that were to happen, you're not going to fall into this category. You're not going to be one of the 66.5% of Americans who have to file bankruptcy because of medical bills. And then again, just to recap, we're also going to touch base on life insurance. I know that you lost it with your previous employer. So I'm going to make sure that we have life insurance in place for you as well. So again, we're going to go over health, we're going to go over supplemental insurance, and then we're going to go over the life insurance component as well. And we'll kind of make a proposal and a plan that will work for your needs and budget. Does that sound fair? Great. All right, I'm going to start sending asking you some questions, and we'll get some quotes ready here in a second.